Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for today's OpenAI Academy event. My name is Tyler, and I'm a part of the Global Affairs team here at OpenAI. Today's session is an interactive session designed to help teachers harness AI tools to enhance learning and classroom engagement. Educators will leave with hands-on techniques to save time and personalized instruction. We're going to be walking you through an overview of ChatGPT and how to create strong prompts as your foundations, as well as use cases for image generation, voice mode, and more. We're so excited to be joined by Sam Kenning-Kaplan, who leads the PK-12 go-to-market team here at OpenAI. Following Sam's session, we'll leave time to answer some of your questions regarding ChatGPT and education, which you can submit via the Q&A tab on the right-hand side of your screen. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Kenning-Kaplan, and I lead pre-K-12 go-to-market at OpenAI. Thank you all so much for joining today. The title of the session today is ChatGPT Strategies for Educators, and we are thrilled that you've joined us. So just to set the table here, our goal today is to get you comfortable with ChatGPT and to help you explore its potential as an educator. The focus today is going to be primarily from a pre-K-12 teacher perspective or an admin within a district or independent school or charter network, you name it. But the goal of today is instead of, just being pie in the sky and being really like theoretical, we want to give you some really practical use cases that you as a teacher or educator can bring to the classroom or bring to your lesson planning or bring to any other level of your day-to-day. The goal of today is to help bring you useful content. So without further ado, we are going to take a dive in. So there are so many ways to use ChatGPT, from translation to reasoning to image generation to data analysis, you name it. And we understand too, like as a teacher, you're seeing so many different use cases out there. It can be very, very overwhelming. So we're going to provide to you some very simple use cases across a number of different tools today that I think will be really helpful and really just help you bring this to your day-to-day. So first, how do you access ChatGPT? There's a number of different ways to do that. So first, you could go to chat.com. This will work on your phone or mobile device. This will work on a laptop. Just in any browser, chat.com, that will allow you to access ChatGPT, where you could set up an account and then get going. Other options here, you can download the Windows and Mac desktop apps. That's another way to access ChatGPT. Maybe you're like me and oftentimes you're on the go and you want to be able to access this from your phone. We also have versions available for iOS and Android. So again, we will meet you where you're at on the device that you're utilizing, and I think that's really helpful. So there are so many different incredible foundations and different ways around prompt engineering. And oftentimes, there's so many different ways to do this. I'm going to provide a simple framework that I think would be really helpful when you're inside of chat or an LLM and you're looking for what's the best way for me to prompt. And there's three things that I think that folks can remember, and this is quite easy to remember: task, context, and expectation. So why is a good prompting framework important? So large language models, they are not magic, right? They don't understand the context of what you're asking. So that's why you need to really have strong prompts that provide context, the task, and the expectations of the output. So the model knows what you're looking for, and it knows for the types of knowledge and information that it should be gathering based upon your prompt. So let me give you an example here. If you just had a prompt that said, help me create a lesson plan, there's no clear explanation of what type of content you're looking to create, what grade levels you teach, what that lesson plan should look like. So if you're prompting like that, you're not going to get the outputs that you'd like, right? Because ChatGPT is not going to understand what you're asking. So if you build upon that, that's where context comes into play. So in this example, help me create a lesson plan. I'm a 9th grade chemistry teacher at a public school in California. This is a much stronger prompt, right? So here it understands the context, the grade levels you're teaching. But again, it doesn't understand the expectations of the output. So that's why this third part, expectations, is so important. So if you add this next layer to this, help me create a lesson plan. I'm a 9th grade chemistry teacher at a public school in California. align it with next-gen science standards, include a rubric, align this with existing materials, remove any biased language. However you want to do this, the expectation is important because this is you're telling ChatGPT again, what do you want the output to look like? What types of information is important in that output? So that's why, again, I'm providing a very simple example here. But again, task, context, expectation, really simple framework to remember as you're prompting. And then oftentimes, right, no matter which systems you're using, you might not be getting the outputs that you're looking for. So we strongly suggest, at first you don't succeed, iterate, rephrase, provide more detail, ask follow-up questions, clarify. Maybe it's not providing the evidence that you would like, or you want more sources. Like, make sure that you're interacting with chat in a way where you're clarifying what you're looking for. And one last sort of suggestion here, let's say you've been writing prompts and you're not getting the output that you're looking for. One big suggestion that I have is take your existing prompt and put that into ChatGPT and add the additional context right before your prompt. I'm looking to optimize this prompt. I'm not getting this particular output that I'm looking for. How can I adjust this prompt, ChatGPT, to get that output? And it will provide you with suggestions to optimize your prompt to get that output. So strongly suggest exploring that. And I think it's a really valuable use case there. So now we're going to jump into ChatGPT, and we're going to start by just providing some suggestions of how you can personalize ChatGPT for you so you're getting better outputs and a better experience based upon what you're looking to do. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right. So this is the homepage of ChatGPT. Couple things I want to call out before we get into personalization. First is going to be the sidebar, right? So within ChatGPT, you'll have your chat interface here in the center. It's going to include over here on the left, different various tools. We'll be diving into that in just a moment. Ask anything. This is where you'll be interacting and putting in your inputs. We're going to get into this later, but voice mode. So these are just some of the tools you have on the home page. On the left here, you're going to see a sidebar. If it's open, it's going to look like that. If you want to close it, you'll click this button up here. So within the sidebar, if you ever sort of get lost, a good recommendation that I have for folks where you're like, where am I? Where am I? You just click new chat, and that'll always bring you back to this sort of homepage. So we're now going to dive into how do you personalize ChatGPT to understand you so you're going to get better outputs and a better experience. So let's dive in here. I'm going to click the icon over here in the bottom left. You'll see your name and you'll see some type of image over here. I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to jump into personalization. So let's dive there. So within personalization, you'll see it right over here. And again, I'm going to show that one more time. I'm going down to the bottom left. I'm clicking this icon over here and I'm clicking personalization. This is an area where you can add additional context so ChatGPT better understands you, the ways you want it to interact with you, the types of outputs you're looking for, so on and so forth. So first things first, on this page, you're going to have to enable that. You're going to have to click this button here, and that's going to allow you to actually customize and personalize your experience. So there's first up here, there's personalities. You could pick default, cynical, robotic, listener, nerd. I'm going to keep that default to now, and I'm going to more focus on custom instructions and a couple other areas. Custom instructions is you're telling ChatGPT how you want it to interact with you, how you want it to present information. Me personally, I really prefer really direct communication. So you might say things like, I want direct communication. I want, maybe you're somebody that you want more warm communication. Other types of things you might want to put in here. Me personally, I really like when I'm doing research, I like that the insights are provided in a bulleted format. So you can say things in custom instructions like prioritize bulleted formats over large paragraphs. Or if doing research, always provide sites and sources from these particular websites. You would just enter all of these different aspects that you would like within the custom instructions, and then just start interacting with chat. Again, you could always come back here. You can edit and change those instructions, but a really useful tool there. Down below here, about you. You can provide a nickname. So what do you want ChatGPT to call you? You can put something in there or not. Occupation. I think this is deeply important, especially if you're an educator. This is how ChatGPT is understanding the context of who you are. So as it's presenting and providing you information and outputs, it's going to take this into consideration. So maybe you're saying I'm a 5th grade teacher based out of Ohio in a public school district. Again, you decide what you want to provide it. And then again, there's some more sections here to provide more info about you. So those are just a couple different ways that you can personalize your experience. Again, I strongly recommend, just as a first thing to start with, try putting in a couple custom instructions, seeing how that goes, and then you can adapt and add as you go. All right, so we are now going to jump back into chat, and we're going to talk about a couple different other experiences here. All right, so we're back in chat. So now I want to focus on how can you write effectively utilizing ChatGPT? Like how can you write content? So let me start with, I'm just going to put in a simple prompt here and let's dive right in. So I have a sample prompt here. I'm a teacher and I had already written this out, right? Hi families, we're starting our fractions unit next week. Students will bring home a practice packet on Tuesday, 10/7. Please sign the cover page by Friday. So I want to make this a little bit more like have a clear call to action, sort of level the playing field in terms of having the reading level. So I'm adding these instructions above. You are my instructional partner. Rewrite the message for parents at a 4th grade reading level. Warm and concise. Keep dates bold. Include a Spanish translation and add a clear call to action at the end. And make sure to preserve these key details. So I'm going to put this into chat. And again, I just put this into the chat interface here. And I'm going to click this button right here. And what you're going to get here, and this is a typical chat experience, right? I'm going to get this text as the output. It took my original, text that I had up here, and it adapted it to this in English. Hi, families. We will start a fractions unit next week. Students will bring home a practice packet on Tuesday, 10/7. Please sign the cover page and return it by Friday. It warmed up the language a little bit down here, bolded out the different sections, and provided a translation here. This is great, and this is a really helpful output. But oftentimes as educators, right, we want to have the ability to use this as a thought partner. We want to be able to edit different sections and have this to be a little bit more interactive. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to just take this existing prompt, this text that we had right here, and I'm going to put it back down here. And we're going to put this into a canvas. The way that you do this is one of two ways. You'll click this plus button and you'll click more. And you'll select canvas. And I'll just say this. Put this in a canvas. The difference here is it's now going to create an interactive canvas, which you're going to have a lot more granular tools at your disposal to be able to get really use this as a thought partner and to help you utilize these tools. So quick examples here. So right now I have my text, right? And if we go back to the initial chat, the first iteration where I did not put this in a canvas, I can't really edit this. I can't go in. So I'm just going back and forth and it's editing large blocks of text. By putting it in a canvas, it's going to launch a window like this. Couple of different things here that I'll note first. So first we have the text right here. And first things first, this is like an interactive document. So I can be typing on here. You can edit it in this way, whatever you want to type out. Something else that's really cool is I can just highlight an individual section inside of a canvas. And you're going to click Ask ChatGPT. Oh, pardon me there. And I'm going to say, let's just say lengthen this a bit. Lengthen this a bit. We'll just start there. So what this is doing is instead of editing your entire block of text, right, it's just going to edit that section that I highlighted. The other thing that's really cool is that there are lots of other built-in tools into this. So let's say I have all of my text, right? A couple different things you can do. I might want to add emojis, make this a little bit more fun and interactive. I might want to add a final polish. This is something I think is really amazing. So let's say you have some existing parent communications that you've been utilizing. One thing that I think is really good just to be able to meet and your parents and guardians where they're at is oftentimes we want to adjust a reading level where it's going to make sense to everybody. So you could do things like this where I could adjust the entire reading level up to graduate school, college, you name it, all the way down to kindergarten. So you can adjust this based upon what makes the most sense for you. And again, the other big aspect here that I think is just really powerful is I can just outline individual sections. I can edit them. I can bold them. And all of your version history will be saved up here in the top right. So again, this is a really powerful use of Canvas, and I strongly recommend folks utilize that. Last thing I'll note, if you did want to edit the entire block of text, you could do that on the left. So again, inside of the Canvas, I can highlight, I can edit, I can ask ChatGPT about individual sections, and really, again, use this as a thought partner. If I wanted to update the entire document, I would do that on the left. And again, to navigate back to that chat, I'm going to click this X. I'm back in the center here. And what I can do next is I can, again, I don't know where I'm at. I want to find the home page. I can click new chat and I'm back on the home page. So those are a couple ideas of how you can utilize ChatGPT on the day-to-day to help you write. Maybe it's editing individual sections of an activity or a lesson plan. You name it, Canvas allows you to get granular. So I'm now going to provide just one very quick example around image generation. So generating images in ChatGPT, again, ChatGPT is multimodal. You can generate images, you could upload images and it can interpret those. You can use audio as an input, audio as an output, text, you name it. I want to first focus now on image generation and some helpful use cases there. So for the sake of time, I had pre-created a couple images and I wanted to share some best practices of how you do this. So to create an image, I'm just going to go to this first example I have. Bear with me here. Just getting this loaded up. Okay. So in this example here, I said, I'm a 4th grade public school teacher in Mississippi. Make a simple water cycle diagram for students with labels for evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. Confirm all spelling is correct in this image. I did this on purpose where this is a very simple prompt. It's not talking about descriptions. It's not telling anything around like standards alignment or really any descriptions around the picture. It's very simple. And what you get from that output is you're going to get an aligned image. That's simple. That's following those guidelines. So right here, we got immediately an image that shows the water cycle, has all the spelling correct on here, shows the image, and it's really clear sort of guidance here. This is helpful. But oftentimes you're going to want to use that prompt framework. You're going to want to provide a lot more context and expectations. So I'm going to show you an improved prompt, which will get you better images as you're utilizing this tool. So in this example, I wanted to improve upon my prompt. So I said, I'm a 4th grade public school teacher in Mississippi. Create a bright, classroom-safe water cycle diagram aligned to the Mississippi College and Career Readiness Science Standards. And then again, I provided some additional context here, grade 4. Show the 4 stages, have big labels with simple arrows, include short kid-friendly captions under each stage, include a river or ocean, confirm all spelling is correct in the image. So what I'm doing here is, again, I'm providing a lot more context and expectations of what I'm looking for here. And by doing so, you're going to get a much better result. So look at this image, right? So now we have a much more engaging image with simple descriptions. And again, by providing the grade level, who I am, where I'm at, it's adapting the content based upon that context. So again, this is a really helpful sort of aspect here. Another thing I often recommend with image generation is maybe you're doing a prompt and you're just not getting that output that you'd like. Again, use ChatGPT to help optimize your prompt. Upload your existing prompt. I might do something like this. And again, I'm just going to show you folks how to actually generate these images to make that super clear. If you're telling it in the prompt to create an image, it will do that. If you want to ensure it will 100% do that, you're going to click this plus button in the bottom left. You're going to click create image. And that's going to ensure that ChatGPT understands that you want it to create an image. You can, of course, add additional styles over here on the right. But again, if you wanted to optimize this prompt, this is how you would submit it to create an image. But if I wanted to optimize this prompt, I would put in the original prompt, right? And I might above it say, I'm not getting the output, the desired output. I want more detail around this specific aspect. Help me optimize this prompt to get that output. And ChatGPT will help you improve that prompt to get the output you're looking for. All right, everybody. We are now going to dive into a really helpful use case, which is data analysis. So I'm in chat. And oftentimes, a difficult use case, right, is as educators, we often have two different data sets. And I'm trying, how can I combine these two data sets into one? I can't tell you guys how many hours I've spent in my career trying to combine two Excel files or two CSV files into one. So I want to first show you a couple helpful tips on how to do that. And before we do so, I want to preface that as educators, as teachers, as folks working in schools, it's important that we're following our school policies around what types of data we're uploading into these various LLMs. So make sure whatever data you are uploading is following the guidance of your school or district. And we're going to now walk into some use cases. So first, you can upload files into ChatGPT. So again, I'm on the homepage here, and I'm going to click this plus file. And the use case I'm going to go through right now is, let's say we are in a PLC, right? And we are evaluating attendance trends. Maybe we're looking to take a deeper dive into tackling chronic absenteeism. And we're looking into data trends within our school district. So what I have here are two fake data sets. One is attendance data across a subset of fake students for a semester. And the other one are the grades of those students. We're not going to get into data analysis yet. The first is just, I want to combine these two files. I want to be able to see, I want to really have like a more combined data set because it's a lot easier for me. So I might put a prompt like this. Please combine this attendance file and grades file into one table. Use student ID as the common identifier between both files. After joining the files, confirm that all data that was transferred is accurate in the combined file. Again, if you just uploaded both of these and said, combine these two files, you might not get the desired outcome that you're looking for. Because again, you're not telling it what's the reference point between the two files. So this is why it's really important that you're in the loop and you're using really helpful prompts and you're guiding ChatGPT on where you want it to go, not just like hoping for magic. So in this use case, I'm going to now upload these and see what happens. So what ChatGPT is doing on the back end is it's analyzing the data set for the semester attendance. It's looking at the semester grades. And then I'm just going to say, put the combined file in a table in chat. So let's see the output we get. Right, so right now it's taking one file had, again, individual grades. It's taking each of the identifiers, the anonymized identifiers for each of the students. It's putting in all of the days enrolled, days present. So it's combining those data sets from both into one table. Something that's great about this is you could easily combine this table. You could put it into docs. You could put it into sheets, you name it. So you can take this data and put it in the tools of your choice. But let's say, okay, we now have this combined data set, and let's say I want to take a deeper dive into this. I want to really do some data analysis here. So I'm going to ask it a simple question here. So it's combined these data sets into one simple file, and I'm now going to ask it, what types of trends are you finding in the data? How does attendance relate to overall semester grades? What other interesting insights can you pull? And let's see what we get. And again, as you know, I'm not just saying what can you pull, what type of information, like you're guiding it on the types of trends you're looking for. So the key trends that it's finding from these files is there's a strong link between attendance and achievement. It gives you the correlation rate, gives you the overall performance, attendance patterns, absence types, you name it. So I think that's really, really helpful. And again, You are guiding ChatGPT. You are the human in the loop. So you're going to ask it additional questions, clarifying questions to get that data analysis that you're looking for. So one other just aspect here is, let's just say, I had a huge data set of all of these anonymized data for all of my students. And we as a district, we're trying to tackle chronic absenteeism. And I want to provide a list for potential interventions for students where we're seeing a trend. So I'm now going to say calculate attendance rate and label students as on track for 95% plus, monitor for 90 to 94.9, and intervention for under 90%. So what it's now doing, it's looking at the full context of the chat. It's looking at those combined data sets, and it's now going to provide me with a really helpful analysis here. So on track, we have 9 students, monitor 8, 7. And again, you can ask it for the output files. You could say, I'll just give you a quick example here. Flag these students in a table for each of these categories. Specifics, IDs in the table for each of these categories. So again, I got a good output, but I want more specifics. I want to see like the individual student IDs, again, anonymized, and seeing what that looks like. So it's now taking the data sets and it's flagging them into these different categories based upon what I've asked it to do. So this is just a really simple way to do data analysis within ChatGPT. I did this again on our baseline frontier model here, ChatGPT 5, and I think that's really exciting there. All right, so now I'm going to jump into what I think is one of the most underutilized and one of the most powerful tools within ChatGPT, and that is called advanced voice mode. So buckle in. All right, so as y'all can see, I'm back on the homepage of ChatGPT. Again, if you ever get lost, this is your sidebar. You can always click new chat and it'll launch this open chat right here. Advanced voice mode, what I love about this is really highlighting the multimodality of ChatGPT. Again, you can input text, you can input an image, you can speak to it, it can speak to you. So again, it meets you where you're at based upon how you're wanting to interact. So how do you utilize advanced voice mode? There's a button right over here that you can click and that will launch it. The first example I wanted to walk folks through is live translations. Oftentimes, right, let's say you're a teacher in a school. Oftentimes you might have a parent stop by and maybe that parent doesn't speak English. And it can be very challenging in schools because oftentimes you don't necessarily have a staff member that's available on the fly when you're looking to connect with a parent or guardian that's very invested in their student's education. So advanced voice mode provides extensive translations. It speaks 40 plus languages, and I'm going to provide a couple of examples here. So again, in this example, I'm a teacher. A parent just came in. They have some questions about the student, and there's a big language barrier. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to bridge the gap, and I'm going to walk you through some use cases right now. So the way you access this, I'm going to click advanced voice mode, and note, I'm going to be prompting it with my voice using the same sort of strategies that we did just a moment ago through text. So just keep recalling that. So one moment here. Hi, ChatGPT. I'm a teacher about to meet with a parent. When you hear English, translate to Spanish with a Mexico dialect. And when you hear Spanish, translate back to English. Make sure all communication is clear, concise, and accessible.
Absolutely, I'll do that. Switching into translation mode now. Let's make everything clear and concise.
Today, I wanted to talk to you about your students' performance in my class. They've been a delight and they've been doing a good job on their assignments. The challenge is that they have not been in class for the last 3 days.
Hoy quería hablar con usted sobre el desempeño de su estudiante. Ha sido un gusto tenerlo y ha estado haciendo un buen trabajo en sus tareas. El desafío es que no ha asistido a clase en los últimos 3 días.
Gracias. Este es siempre un problema con mi estudiante. Yo necesito hablar con él.
Thank you. This is always an issue with my student, and I do need to speak with him.
So, just again, the power of this tool to be able to bridge gaps. We are not saying this is not going to replace any translators or interpreters that you have within the district. But oftentimes there's moments where you really need to be able to connect, and this provides you a way to do so. Something that I think is amazing here is that you get a full transcript of everything that was said. So you get to see all of the translations, how it was said. You can then verify that. So I think there's a lot of power in that as well. And let's just have a quick conversation with chat around the different types of languages it can speak. So let's just see what we can do here. Hi, chat. I'm very curious, how many languages do you have a high level of fluency in? And I'd love to hear some examples of what those languages are.
I can actually handle quite a wide range of languages pretty fluently. In fact, I can converse comfortably in many of the major world languages. For example, I can chat with you in Spanish, French, German, Mandarin, Japanese, Russian, Arabic, Portuguese, Italian, and quite a few others. So feel free to test me out if you want to hear any of those.
I want to hear a couple more, maybe another 5 or 10 that you have very high level of fluency that haven't been mentioned before.
Absolutely. Let's add a few more to the list that I haven't mentioned yet. I can also handle Dutch pretty well as Swedish and Danish. Then there's Korean and Turkish, which I'm comfortable with. And to round it out, I can manage Polish, Hindi, and maybe even a little Greek. So that's a few more for you. If you want to hear any of those, just let me know.
So again, I think this is a really, really powerful tool. Again, you need to always verify your translations. You should definitely test this out. But I think this is a very exciting use case of advanced voice mode. That's just one use case, though. I want to share another with y'all, which I think could be quite useful. And this is for sort of role-playing use cases. So let me give you a quick example here. Hi, chat. I am a teacher in South Carolina. I'm a 9th grade chemistry teacher. A new role just opened up in my district for a tech integration specialist. I'm very interested in applying for that role, but I want to practice the interview process. Can we do a mock interview? And then after each question, I'll provide an answer, and then you will provide me feedback based upon my answer.
Absolutely, we can do that. Let's jump right in. I'll play the role of the interviewer and ask you a question relevant to a tech integration specialist role, and then you can give me your response. After that, I'll give you some feedback. So here's your first question. Can you tell us about a time when you successfully integrated a new piece of educational technology into your classroom, and what steps you took to ensure it was effective?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really use a lot of technology in my classroom. I don't really have that many examples. To be honest with you, I just don't have a lot of technology in my classroom.
Absolutely. Thanks for giving that a shot. So here's some feedback. Highlighting any tech experience, even if you haven't used a lot of technology yet, it's a good idea to frame any small experience you do have in a positive light. For example, maybe you used a simple online quiz tool or a digital whiteboard just once or twice. That still counts. You can mention that as a starting point. Showing willingness to learn, it's also great to emphasize that you're excited to learn more. You could say something like, well, I haven't had a lot of opportunities yet. I'm really eager to dive into this role and bring more tech tools into the classroom. Practicing examples before the actual interview, maybe think about any scenario, even a hypothetical one, where you might integrate a piece of tech in the future. That way you have a story ready to go. Let's move on to the next question when you're ready.
Thanks, chat. So again, that is another powerful use case. Again, you will see all of the transcript, what was asked, all of that. So that's also available. Another couple things with advanced voice mode is I'm showing people a lot of more advanced use cases that you might be able to utilize. Again, it's the same way as interacting with chat through text, through audio mode. So maybe you're just asking for information. I've had principals talk to me about that they will get permission from somebody that they need to provide some feedback to have chat with them in a meeting. And they'll ask chat afterwards, can you provide me with feedback about how I handled that conversation? Are there any adjustments I should be making for my folks that are working under me? How can I better communicate this? So again, the sky is the limit when it comes to advanced voice mode. So I really appreciate everybody's time, and I hope that was a helpful run through today. I'm now going to pass it back over to Tyler, and we're going to go through some questions. But thank you all so much for your time today.
Hi, everyone. That was so great, Sam. So let's see. We have some great questions here. So let's just get right into it. One of the first ones we got is there a way to store all the prompts that you use? I want to easily find them without scrolling through. Also, is there a prompt repository, example, sample prompts, where we can get an idea of good prompts?
Great question. So I'll answer the second half of the question first. So on academy.openai.com, this exact place where we are right now, we have a huge repository of resources that our teams have been building out for K-12 educators specifically. Within there are definitely some prompt packs and places to get started. The intention here is not that folks just use our prompts and don't customize them for yourself. They're just a starting point to give you some examples of how you might want to prompt. But we absolutely have a lot of examples there. And, we're going to be having continuously more resources here as well. In terms of where and how do you manage some of this prompt storage, just give me just a moment here, Tyler. I'm going to share my screen one more sec here. So we don't today have a specific section that is like where you're storing your prompts, but a couple suggestions here. One thing I didn't cover today, and we will definitely be covering on other sessions, is projects. Projects is a folder structure within ChatGPT. So let's just say I had some chats throughout the way. So there's a couple different ways you could do this. So I'm creating the folder structure. Again, it's on the left. You click new project, and then under that will be prompts. Under prompts, you could under these project folders, you could just drag and drop previous chats that you've had. Maybe this is to organize things in a clearer way, right? And as you're having more chats, I could drop them into prompts. So let's say that you are, so you could use this as a place to like store chats where you had really solid prompts. You might also just start putting your prompts into here as new chats. As you're adding additional prompts, it would get added to this list as long as you're within the project folder. But again, we'll cover this in a lot more depth in future trainings. So thank you. Back to you, Tyler. Oop. I'm not getting any audio there.
Fully my bad. I was so muted. One of the next questions we got was, what does the final polish do?
Oh, yes. So final polish, this is the feature within Canvas. I'll show the screen one more time because I think it's helpful for folks to see. Right, we're in a Canvas. Let me do a quick chat here. Add this to a Canvas. Again, to add it to a Canvas, I'm going down here. I'm clicking Canvas. It's just going to add this text that I just wrote, right? Okay, so inside of the Canvas, let's say we have a lot of words and they're misspelled or whatever. What Polish does is it does a final check for sort of like grammar and just sort of cleaning up the text. Like let's say I have some misspellings. Or the grammar, there might be some grammar suggestions. Think of this as like a bit like a spell checker and adding that final polish to make sure everything looks clean. It's not going to like do any fundamental massive changes, but it's more of like a grammar spell check kind of thing.
Great. And while on the topic of Canvas, what are the text limitations?
Yeah, so to my understanding, there are no text limitations. Like you can have massive chunks of text. There can be images within here. So there should not be any text limitations. If that person wants to ask a clarifying question in the chat, we can circle back on that. I did want to note for Canvas though, it is not just for text. I wanted today to be simple and to walk people through some easy use cases. Canvas is often used in different use cases for, and this is not Canvas the LMS again, it's the Canvas feature within ChatGPT. It can also be used for coding or building simulations. So I wanted to give folks another example of this. So here's like a simple prompt I put in a little bit ago. Create a self-contained HTML and JavaScript simulation for grade 11 physics. I gave a learning objective. I said what I wanted included, projectile ranges, a launch button, all of that. So in one prompt, I said, I want to create this interactive tool where we could sort of test out these physics theories. So I put that in and then ChatGPT built it out, right? So inside of this, if you know how to code and you know how to work with this, you could go in and you could edit individual lines of code. You could highlight larger sections, make bigger changes. So again, Canvas works the same with code. What's cool about this though is, again, I'm not someone that codes often, right? So I just wanted to create a simulation and I want to see what that looks like. So from that one single prompt, it created inside of Canvas an interactive simulation where I can adjust the speed, the launch angle, gravity, and then check this out. I'll click launch. And below, you'll be able to test out the trajectory. This is a much more advanced use of ChatGPT. The reason I brought this up with Canvas, though, is many people have a learning management system, and many learning management systems have rich text editors, which you can paste HTML into. So I'm creating this example because maybe you want to create a simulation for your students inside of Schoology or another learning management system. And with this, you'd be able to do so. You could copy and paste this code in the canvas and then put that into an HTML editor, and end users would be able to interact with it. So I know that wasn't exactly all about text, but I wanted to just use that opportunity to share some other ideas.
Great. And just two more questions here. First one being, what would be your recommendation on rules of using ChatGPT in middle school?
Yep. Toolkit, or I'm just going to share a resource with folks. Give me just a second. So we're going to put, I'm going to put this, and we have AI Toolkit for school districts. So here's a resource that I want to quickly share with folks. So at OpenAI, we partnered with Common Sense Media to develop an AI toolkit for school districts. It's commonsense.org. The link is up here. Maybe Jane or Tyler could put this in the chat for folks. What this is this is a robust toolkit that includes policies, actionable items. How should you set those policies? Why they created the toolkit? And if you actually launch into this right over here, you'll see it's very robust. It'll include professional development strategies, how to align with district mission. So there's a lot of good approaches here around how to set policies from a district perspective or school perspective, which I think would be really helpful to help answer this question. From a ChatGPT for education standpoint, we are currently only operating with schools from a staff perspective. So we have a product called ChatGPT for Education where we work with schools. And with that product, we are not currently allowing students on that platform. We are doing longitudinal research, working on building out admin type solutions for that to go forward. So right now, within our own solutions, we do not have recommendations around students in ChatGPT EDU because we're building out safety mechanisms and doing the research to get to that point. So thank you so much. But that toolkit, I think, has a lot of really helpful resources around how can we implement this at different types of schools, charters, independents, districts, you name it. I think very useful for policy setting.
Great, thank you for that. Another question is, how do you get around potential AI hallucinations?
Yeah, great question. So, and love sharing my screen. I'm gonna share it one more time. A lot of this comes down to prompting and utilizing different tools. And one thing that I think has been really exciting about ChatGPT 5 and every iteration of ChatGPT is that hallucinations continuously get reduced over time. There's a lot of prompting techniques that I highly recommend to help get the most accurate information. Again, using that the framework that we talked about earlier. A couple would be adding, for example, at the end, provide relevant sources from these particular types of websites. When you are making a statement, always provide a source that I can then validate for that information that you're finding. So adding aspects like that into your prompt will go a very far way for having validation and being able to check this. And I think this question is really important too, because with AI, it's our take here that it's really important that you have the teacher and educator and end user at the center. These tools are tools for you to use to achieve your objectives. And the goal is not that you're just putting one-shot prompts and just everything is done. You should be in the center, validating the information that you're getting, providing sources. So it's a mix of how you prompt and also to make sure that end users are always validating that information themselves in the way that you're utilizing it. So that's how I'd respond to that. Thank you.
Great. Two more questions. One that we're kind of getting in a few different ways. One of them being, if you teach different subjects or you want ChatGPT to personalize and memorize multiple different things, how do you solve that issue about personalizing a singular subject so that it knows how to differentiate between the two when you're trying to have a conversation?
Yeah, so a lot of this will come down. This is the personalization that we were talking about before. So again, I'm back in ChatGPT. Let's say you're lost. I'm starting a new chat. I'm going to open up the sidebar. I'm going to go down and click my profile, and I'm going to click personalization. With custom instructions, just like a regular prompt, you need to iterate on this and sort of test it out and see what works best for you. I would try different instructions. So I would say when I'm teaching, when I ask questions about this particular subject or I'm prompting around this particular subject, I would like these types of behaviors, the information presented in this way. When I'm asking questions around these particular topics, I would like it this other way. So I would test that out with custom instructions. Again, if you're not getting the results that you'd like, I would recommend, again, using ChatGPT to help optimize those custom instructions, because it's going to know itself very good and like how you should structure those types of prompts. So it's going to be an iterative process, but that's going to be done through custom instructions and sort of differentiating, when I prompt this type of content, this is what I mean, and this is the outputs that I want.
Great. Another question here. This is kind of fun. What are the most common use cases of ChatGPT in education, and what are the most unexpected use cases?
Great question. So a couple different things. Like for teachers, a lot of it has been around like parent communication, right? Analyzing data. From that example today, like it's something I'm constantly hearing from folks is like, I spend so much time trying to link different spreadsheets and then analyze that data, and I don't have the time in my day to do that. So those have been very, very popular use cases. For principals, I've seen a lot of use cases around setting policies, doing research. Like, so for example, maybe you're an administrator in a district and your district is setting a new cell phone policy. I might use ChatGPT to help me research policies of other districts or schools in my state, provide sources, provide links to those. So I'd say those are all very common use cases as well. Then we get more granular into like lesson plan generation and curriculum development. Where I've seen a lot of schools do this has been really mostly initially focused around curriculum alignment, right? Through COVID and all these different sections, districts often and schools often have so many different curriculum and changes that have happened at a strategic level at the top. And the curriculum, oftentimes there's many assets out there that are not aligned to that. So I've seen a lot of districts do that and schools do that alignment of curriculum, oftentimes through a tool called custom GPTs, which we have a lot of content on inside of the Academy. But that is another very powerful use case. And again, as OpenAI, we are not going to be the company that's going to say, we understand K-12 better than K-12 educators. That's not who we are. We're a research company, and we want to empower educators around the country. And part of what our goal here is, like with the Academy, is we're going to be wanting to surface voices of schools and educators throughout the US and throughout the world to help share use cases with us. So we're innovating and driving and pushing those out to others. So again, that's what I've heard. And again, I'm really excited of what's to come in the future in terms of innovation inside of ChatGPT. So thank you.
Great. And just before we wrap up, Sam, we've been getting some great questions here as we've been going through. If you want to take a peek and pick your final two, and we'll dig into those.
All right. Oh my God, so much pressure. Give me just a second here. Can we get PDF files? Oh, of this lesson. Let me see.
Here's one where you and I kind of spoke about this once before about submitting chat threads, like students submitting chat threads to their instructors.
Oh yeah. So again, right now in ChatGPT education, which is the area of the company that I work within, so this would be working with schools, districts, charters, all that. Right now, we are not supporting students inside of ChatGPT education at this point. I have heard lots of amazing stories from teachers around the country that have been, testing out these tools with parental permission from their students. And one interesting use case I've seen has been, let's use language arts as an example, or writing. Instead of just like saying, okay, kids, we want you to write this essay. Here's the subject. Here's the endpoint. Write that essay. Where I've seen a lot of innovation has been teachers shifting to instead focusing on, I just blanked on what I was saying in the middle of it. Tyler, can you remind me of the question real quick?
Yeah, it was like how are educators having students submit their
prompts? So what often I've seen happen is, again, with parental permission in these particular circumstances, what the teachers will be evaluating is the thought process within ChatGPT or within an LLM. So let's say it's an assignment and it's about doing research on some particular topic. The teacher is then evaluating how is the student navigating this particular LLM. how are they collaborating with it? How are they prompting? So it becomes like they're getting evaluated based upon how they're utilizing the tool and the depth of which they're utilizing that tool to get the outputs that they're looking for versus the end result of the essay. So I've seen a lot of interest with that, project-based learning, flipped classroom, anything around where it's like the evaluation becomes on the process and the collaboration and how that student's interacting and using different types of information. That's been a really innovative way I've seen that many teachers have been utilizing ChatGPT for that.
Great. Really cool. All right. I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much.
Thank
Sam.
you all so much. And thanks for joining us. And keep checking out academy.openai.com. We're going to have a lot more content coming here.
Great.
Thanks
so
everyone.
much. Bye.